Hebrews is remarkably reticent when it comes to identifying its author. The author is not named. It doesn't say what place it was written. There's no name of a city that's given, for example, as you do in Paul's letters to the Corinthians or Philippians and so forth. But where Hebrews is interesting is that it does give us glimpses into the lives of the people that are addressed by that book. We learn a little bit from the beginning of chapter 2 that Hebrews addressed people who had come to faith sometime before that, and that when they had come to faith, there was a vivid sense of God active in their midst. They had a vivid sense of the Spirit being at work in their community. The gospel had a vital form in their community. In chapter 10, verses 32 and following, you find that after that initial experience of coming to faith, they also experienced persecution. That apparently their faith had set them apart from others in their community, and that created some resentment. That grew into open conflict, and some were even put in prison. It was not that faith made life easier. It made it more complex and sometimes more difficult. And yet the community rallied around those who were suffering. But by the time Hebrews is written, you also find that it's not just that they're people in crisis. Rather, the crisis has gotten to be more prolonged, less dramatic. People are feeling dull, sluggish, discouraged, dispirited. And so the goal is going to be to try and revitalize their faith. For people who are not in crisis, but for whom the crisis is that nothing really seems to be changing, and that it's a long ways to go until we see the promises of God fully realized in our midst. So the context of Hebrews is one that I think resonates with many of us, for whom we may not be always in crisis, but for whom the life of faith is something less than exciting, who have to put up with the day-to-day, the small discouragements that afflict us as we try and live in community in our congregations and with others. Hebrews is a book that tries to show us something of the vitality of the faith through showing us the vitality of the gospel, and in doing so, calling us back to a renewed faith, a renewed excitement about what God has done in Christ.